thing that self-pres socials tend to do is they get into just the technical talk of this is how I did it. That's what the self-pres social artists are really good at. Actual world building, like how the accents, the outfits, like wanting to get all these details of the world so that you can immerse yourself into the experience of being there. Last time we kind of like found the thing with social self-pres is like, you know, you were talking about how looking at the social field and then trying to find the angle that stands apart to express something about personhood. And I was thinking about self-pres social being everything that we've ever known about storytelling, about world building, you know, the idea that you're going on a journey and all the kind of language we use, like I'm on my whatever fucking journey. This is the standard rooted perspective. And when we think of art, the standard approach to art is self-pres social, is the idea that you have a beginning, middle, and end, that you have in a specific aesthetic world that you're trying to immerse people in, that you have something accessible that tells a story, but then you communicate that story through events and through experiences. Like I think of home, like it's all kind of what relationship to home or roots, even if it's I'm fucking with that, destroying it, or I'm trying to discover new ones, I'm going to war over it, I'm going on a journey away from it. It's all like something about home.
Journey away from it. It could be on the moon. It could be out. And so I think of like Star Trek, Star Wars,
or even romance. Yeah. Here's my person. This is my new home.
Person. Well, and that's why I would say, I mean, at least from a really creative, like the self-pres socials who can just pull things off. Like I'm even thinking of Christopher Nolan's earlier stuff, like Interstellar. Oh, I love
everything before Interstellar.
Odyssey is gonna be
everything after. I couldn't even get into
Odyssey.
I couldn't even get into Oppenheimer. Like I couldn't. I like Tenet.
Did he do Oppenheimer?
Yeah, he did.
I didn't realize that. I watched.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I fell asleep during it.
I stopped halfway through. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
That was one where I was like, why do I need to know all of this? Like, why am I going here now? Like, this feels unnecessarily long. Yeah, okay.
That was the one.
Despite those things, I think one, at least from me being social self-pres, what I really admire about self-pres social, their attention to craft and like just pulling something off. That I think like sometimes, you know, the people who are like self-pres, who it's like social and sexual are both blind spots. Yeah. Like that can be an advantage sometimes because it's like you can get really like lost in the weeds of like how to craft something and what tools would be best to kind of pull it off, and the storyline, like completely immersed in the storyline in a way like that doesn't get influenced by other people, like social or sexual influences, that it's kind of just like fully dedicated to like telling this story or making this image or whatever it may be. That, you know, when we had talked about people like Carl Jung or Freud or something being like, they're definitely social rather than social blind because they're waking up every day and they're choosing to engage with people. You know, I can imagine a lot of like amazing writers, amazing directors, amazing musicians and artists like are waking up every day and they're choosing to like work with their craft and like put their energy and time into that. And self-preservation is going to be obviously like the one that does that like regardless. And so when you get into social and sexual people, that's when it starts to become like, so what does this thing then say about me or show or like mix with other people? Like how does it start to transform outside of myself and what or who causes that to happen? Whereas self-pres is like before considering that at all. It's just like me, art.
Yeah. It's in a sense you could say it's the self-pres social is the cleanest and the most unencumbered, in the sense that it's work. It's the work week. It's you go into an environment where you're focused on the task, you're focused on getting better, you're focused on building skills, because you're ultimately trying to build something that's going to be accessible to other, understood by other people. Like self-pres sexual can also be really fixated on their craft and just the work. Like, you know, David Lynch artistic orientation was very much focused on just painting every day and just working every day. But there's sexual really kind of fucks that up, in the sense that it's not, you're not creating with an eye towards themes and narratives that could be accessible to other people in a way that self-pres social can. So that self-pres social is very much, it's like the business artist, the artist that can make money. And when I was watching the Odyssey, I was thinking, just trying to reflect on sort of the creative decisions that he made. Of, there's an inherent awareness of like, what, there's a story I want to tell, but there's also the story that is going to sell, that the studios are going to like, and that the audience, this modern audience, will like, because you know, somebody's going to be pissed off, but you want to piss off the least amount of people and still sell tickets. And so like, there's a cynical side of me where I'm looking at, there are all these sort of creative decisions that were made between Christopher Nolan. I got to still do my thing. I'm still telling a Christopher Nolan kind of story. Like, every one of his movies is essentially telling the story of some guilt-ridden man who did something that could have destroyed society. Oh, we feel bad for you.
Oh, that's so true.
You know, like white man guilt. There are a lot of directors that do white man guilt. So it's not, it's not particularly, but it's this very self-pres social trope that you see with, you know, every director artist has their tropes, but the self-pres socials really have a groove. Like, they could put different skin on and it's still going to be the same underneath. So Christopher Nolan told the Christopher Nolan story with the Odyssey. He just did the things that he knows put asses in seats, that makes his movies work no matter what. So anyway.
Even put that together. I'm like, wait, that is every Christopher
every
Nolan
single
film.
Dark Knight, the Batman is guilty,
too,
and he's the sort of anti-hero. Interstellar, guilty white man, you know. And then Odysseus is a very, very different character in the way he was Christopher Nolanized. Christopher Nolanized him. Of like, he's a very sort of like 7-ish trickster, mischievous, sort of like arrogant character who's just like, I fucking killed Troy. I'm just the greatest. Like, Matt Damon is sort of like a Christopher Nolan version of, not even a version, just a completely retelling of that character, of like a guy who just feels depressed and traumatized from war, rather than the guy who was like, enjoyed it and was proud.
Okay. Yep. All right. This makes sense. I think that's where like the social and sexual aspects would be beneficial towards a primarily self-pres sort of rut that people can get in. Then
that's the rut.
Like it can get into this rut of like kind of like a me story or like what I like or whatever, and not venturing out into something that could be more expansive. Like, social can really expand your understanding of self and what that includes, and also therefore like what other people might be seeing or wanting to see. It's not like that has to be catered to, but like when you start to expand your understanding of things, like naturally you'll start to feel into like what really is speaking right now to a collective that is not necessarily catering to them, but like showcasing something. And then like sexual has its own transformational aspect, of course, but like without self-pres accessing either of those, it does just become like
it becomes like a series of events and experiences. And you know, I was sitting there thinking while I was watching at the end of the Odyssey, wishing that I wish someone who's given this kind of budget, a director of this caliber was given this kind of budget, who wasn't Christopher Nolan, who had like more of a social or mythical approach, who could have included the gods. Like, he doesn't, he completely erased the gods because that wouldn't fit a Christopher Nolan movie. And so what self-pres social tries to do can be like overdoing, is you have a grounded and accessible experience, which is normal. But when you're dealing with material that is multidimensional and is complex from like a social point of view, The icons that are involved, like he probably should have someone else handling that, because he just sort of made a Christopher Nolan version. It shouldn't be called the Odyssey. It should be called Christopher Nolan's version of the Odyssey.
And that's why I got into the Coen brothers, because, well, not like why I started thinking about them. They had Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah, I heard that was an adaptation of it.
Which is kind of, and I listened to them talking about how it kind of became a story of the Odyssey, and literally they were just like, well, we started out with these characters, and like they just started like walking around, and we were like, oh wait, this is the Odyssey.
Yeah, very self-social.
We just like happened upon it to be the Odyssey. But I would say like my biggest critique with it, again, not having like a social thing about it, is like there was like almost no like
characterization, not enough characterization.
Like the social air was not filled with magic. Like this was supposed to, like this is supposed to be like a realm where magic existed, and like you kind of got it through some of the scenes had like, ooh, like I wish you would have done more there, or like, but even just like there's so many ways you could frame the image and just linger in places, and then tone down on like the Odysseus's guilt story that could have like amplified this like magical place that they live in, like this this weird, strange pagan place of the gods that is like, you know, alive and has a beating heart of its own. Like he was so focused on the character of Odysseus and what he was experiencing that it kind of just, everything else sort of fell into the background and hardly had like a prominent position.
And so much of the characterization of Odysseus didn't have the flavor of what a social type would bring, where you'd get like enough backstory. It's just like a bunch of stuff happened, and you're not really getting as much of like his inner world. You're just he's just telling you that he feels bad or he's guilty. It wasn't like a character study of Odysseus either. And so it just felt like, I don't care. Like at the end of it, like, you know, there's like a universal kind of element of you want to get back home. Everyone can relate to that. But like, this is an epic, right? This is a big story, and it didn't feel that way at the end. It's like, okay, fine. We know this is going to happen, but like, this is supposed to be like this mythical epic story. There's a lot going on, and it just felt mundane. And that can be, I'm not saying that, you know, there's some self-press social artists out there just do incredible work. Yeah. But this is what it can end up being. It's just like a dry, sort of overly grounded, a bunch of stuff happened, and there's a little bit of character, but like, I don't really care.
It's kind of like when, you know, we were talking about the back rooms, also self-press social, where it's like, you know, people don't think that the collective would like want to just see like, you know, the original Backrooms videos on YouTube were just walking around the backrooms, and it's like there was no plot. And it was just like, that would like take all of the incredibly artistic, well done cinematic backgrounds that Christopher Nolan did in the Odyssey. Like, give me more of that witch with the pigs, and give me more of the give me more of the Cyclops and the fucking people in Hades, like in hell and whatever. Like, just do that. Like, I don't like, just that's what I want to see. I want to just walk around this place and explore it, just like the back rooms. Like, just show me the back rooms. I don't need a plot. I don't need a person. Like, people just want to see like weird shit happen.
Yeah, like I was even kind of like let down expecting the cinematography. People were saying it's so great. He's always like, I want practical effects. He hates CGI. Yeah. So he's kind of like anti-magic. And that's one of the things I wanted to say about the Sexual Blind, the self-press social version of Sexual Blind, is like, I want the literal world. and so much of what sexual is like, you believe in the beyond, or you believe in the ways, the alchemy, and you're open to magic. And so even in filmmaking, Christopher Nolan has the biggest budget. People use CGI extremely convincingly. but he wants to use practical events to the point where you look at the Trojan horse and it's like, that's it. I thought, you know, like there's this element of like, I didn't see the end of Oppenheimer, but people were like really disappointed with the atomic blast because he didn't use something that would look, I mean, of course you can't make an atomic blast. So he had something that looked pathetic, but you're supposed to use CGI to make it look like an atomic blast. So there's so much of the Odyssey where I was impressed that he was able to create some of like, that's practical effects and it looks magical, but like you could have really taken it to another level if you would be open to using non-practical.
And again, like you have framing, you have lighting, you have like how long you linger on things. Like all of these are still at your disposal to kind of like help aid the use of something like CGI, which is where like a lot of people who are mainly self-prosocial that use CGI and it just is shit is because they are overdoing it and then they're not paying attention to any of the other craft that would kind of like let something linger and be more interesting or strange or whatever. So it just looks like, you know, digital slop or whatever. So it's like there's an in-between space for sure.
And you know, this has more to do, you could say more to do with Christopher Nolan himself and how dry his type is. But I also think it's indicative of what self-prosocial can do. But like, okay, so you could say that the Odyssey has all three instincts. There is sexual temptation. There is, I mean, it's like he's trying to get home, and the journey home it's trying to show all the things, all the obstacles and temptations that could get you off track. And the instincts are in there. The sirens are a sexual instinct. Cool.
Yeah.
And so in the film, and there are these temptations, we can talk about some of the women and the way he characterizes the women in this movie. I like in his aim to try to be as accurate, he sort of made them unattractive. Like there wasn't, you weren't convinced that this woman would be a reason to stay on this fucking island. Like they're so beautiful, and these are beautiful women that he made look regular, like not even like. So like the witch that he that turned the men into pigs, the woman who's playing that the witch is like looks middle aged, but in the story she's a beautiful hot woman.
Yeah.
And so which would create a completely different scenario.
Right.
Because you would believe like, oh, he would be tempted to stay here because he did for like a year. You know, so he took the sexual out of even the sirens. You don't see them. You can barely see them just laying on the rocks, which is like there's nothing sultry about that. There's nothing.
I was so disappointed at how like kind of short that was, and just sort of like, I don't know, it felt like an afterthought.
This was supposed to be extremely dangerous allure that's happening, something that you are willing to risk your life for. It can't just be, oh, it's just we just imagined it. Like there has to be something so palpable that you're seeing, that they're so beautiful and they're so whatever that you're willing to jump into the ocean and swim to your death because you can't resist.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
I didn't get that.
Like there was no sex, like there was not even a hint of sexuality in this movie. Like it's not like half hot people, but like, do you have some kind of like, he didn't come home for not just, oh, I just want to go stop at these islands. There were hot women along the way.
I think the Cyclops was the biggest sexual instinct part of that movie. He would make me want to stay. That part was awesome. Because Maggie and I saw it together, and she pointed out her favorite part about the Cyclops was how instinctual it was. It was just like, go eat men and go to sleep. Like it was just so like heavily instinctual.
I don't understand some of these creative choices. Like you just sort of like flattened the magic in this whole thing. And I'm like, you're the same guy who did Interstellar. Like if we can suspend disbelief to create wormholes that can
that was
traverse
crazy.
time, why are you just like, oh, we're just going to do a realistic Odyssey?
Yeah.
Is that what we're going to do? But like this, don't call it the Odyssey then. Call it something else.
One of the positive things about self-prosocial too is, you know, without kind of having social and sexual external influences, it's really feels almost like an alchemist kind of putting together all of these different these different materials, and they're really good at experimenting. Like, I think just self-prosocial, like I think of William S. Burroughs. You typed as self-prosocial 9. He's really, really popular in like the beat poet generation of weirdos that like just kind of broke a lot of what was typical in the writing world. And like you know, you see the self-prosocials are doing the linear kind of timeline or ways of constructing something, but then, you know, once you have some self-prosocials that know the rules, they know how to break them as well, kind of deal. True. And so it's like there's people like him and other like visual artists that will challenge what is being done in a sense that still, unlike social, who's kind of doing it from like the perspective stance, self-pres does it from on the ground and changes things through the material that they're actually using, and changes things through, like, he physically would like, you know, cut out parts of books and stuff and put them together like collage style almost. So it's like you even see self-prosocial collages just have a lot of stuff in them and layers of things, but it's like tinkering and experimenting.
In the business world, the startup world is very much the creative end of self-prosocial business of we're going to design a new product that no one has ever seen before, similar to social self-pres, like this new perspective, a new angle on a social dynamic or a character. Self-prosocial is saying, I'm going to design a new experience or a new product or
experience.
You know, like with Christopher Nolan, there are so many new things that he did with the Odyssey that people can focus on. Like it was shot completely on IMAX. That it's like that is more of the accomplishment for self-prosocial. Of like, look at the like Werner Herzog filming a film where he dragged a ship over a mountain.
That was
you know,
insane.
Stuff like that. Why? That's like the self-prosocial. I'm going to do something that no one else has done before.
Yeah.
Did the IMAX make the Odyssey a better movie? Like, this was some of the most dullest camera work I ever seen. Like, even when they came into Troy, I was just like expecting to be blown away by how grand that would look. I just felt like this does not look like what I expected it to look. It doesn't look boring. Grand. I was like, visually, this is not doing what I thought it was going to do.
Yes. Yep.
So it's like, you know, you accomplished something, but like, was it actually better?
Because again, it's like, what are you trying to do here? Self-prosocial is like, I want to pull this and this off. I want to pull this off. I want it to kind of go into this arc, whatever. Whereas like social or sexual is trying to have a viewer experience something raw, something different, something that has like a meaning or some kind of emotional tone beneath that or behind that, that's kind of like in the air while all this stuff was going on. And so I could like feel disconnected from that for a lot of the film. It's just like, why am I watching it? Like, why am I watching this particular part? Like, what is, and that's why I fell asleep during Oppenheimer. Because I'm just like, why do I need to know this? Like, why am I seeing this? And I think, self-prosocial can at least feel like that for me. I don't understand the why sometimes.
And it's more so that, you know, I've seen self-prosocial who they have a very clear vision for what they're doing, trying to create an experience in the experiencer of the art. And the world building is all about doing that from the ground up. And so that can be great when it's done well. It's just like this piece of art becomes an object that you can continue to feed on. You know, it's like food that you like to eat. It has a certain flavor. You know that you're going to go to this restaurant and get the same, you know, type of experience. But, you know, it can be, when it's done right, it can be that, or it can then just become really dull and basic if it doesn't hit the mark. It's just a bunch of stuff. It doesn't have as much complexity. But, you know, there's some of my favorite movies that are just self-prosocial classics where just everything came together. The score, the actors, perfectly. The entire thing is just like an aesthetic, complete vision that everything is aesthetically in tune to deliver on a certain experience. And it's like perfect.
I mean, most of my favorite music are self-prosocial musicians, just because like the attention towards the sound and the experience you're having in that is just so, it's so like they can be so devoted to what the product is essentially, like what the results are, because they're not considering social and sexual, that it just feels so. I even think of a director, Miyazaki is one that you typed as Self-Press Social one.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my god, everyone, I mean, most people love Miyazaki's films, and there's a reason, and they're hand painted.
Right.
You know, this is someone who's like anti-anime, will not consider his stuff anime.
Yeah.
It is Japanese film, you know, and like it is gorgeous. Like I've watched at least maybe one, if not two, of the documentaries on him, and I'm so jealous of his process, like just because of how hard he works, first off, and then just how much attention and devotion he puts towards every single element that goes into it. You can tell he just pays so much attention to those little details, and it all comes together so well. And his films are loved. So it's like Self-Press Social just nails it sometimes in every single genre of art because of just that
The
magic.
attention to detail.
Like they're so good at doing that.
Okay, so let's start looking at some examples. All right, so once again, this is the collage page, Instinct and Art, on Enneagrammer.com, and we're going to be looking at self-press social collages. We get a pretty even number of self-press social and social self-press, but this is one of those very obvious Instincts documents to see, because the self-press socials would send in just pictures of stuff piled upon each other. And so you'll see like the typical self-press social collage will be stuff like this, where just someone's at home, they're showing you their favorite objects and places. Sometimes it'll be, you know, food, outfits, pretty basic. It's like you can't mistake this for anything else. It's just this is self-press social. And then this was from a 5. This is like an end of the world apocalypse type of situation. The self-press socials
they love the end of the world.
They love that kind of stuff. And so
survival
anything survival related, you know, the self-press socials are going to do. And then you get these sort of examples where we see gore is specifically self-press social. Like when you get into extreme violence, gross body modifications, that type of horror, body horror, is also self-press social. And then, you know, the more artistic ones where someone is just doing really interesting things with the form of the images. You know, so this is an example of that. Yeah, this is another example of something really artistic. And you'll find that this is self-press social just because you'll have like the random picture of food or animals. You know, just a very specific like farmer land perspective, just very rooted.
I mean, like, even when you say the word collage, like, it is like, this is a self-pres task. Like, it's just the traditional collage of just cutting images apart, putting them together, seeing what matches, what doesn't, what looks cool, what doesn't. Like, it's very self-pres social kind of in nature.
You know, I think the impulse to sort of like mix images comes from self-pres social. Of just like, I want to blend images to create new ones. So this is an example of that. Like it starts to feel like you're just stacking things on top of each other without any sort of narrative reason. It's just like a pile of things.
Yeah. and then again, like, because you're doing self-pres, just like, let me do this, let me do that. Without social and sexual, you're not thinking about what it means until later. And then later it's like, oh, wait, this means this, or this reminds me of that, or what. Like, then it starts to, you see the piece itself being imbued with like something else, like something other. And it takes on totally different contexts. Yeah,
so the context creatively comes later. They're not starting out like with self-pres with like, I have an idea of this person or this situation that I want to, this reference, but it's starting like, well, I want to make a collage with cheesecake.
I want to make a collage of like, you know, my favorite style of name, whatever, you know.
Yeah. So that's the visual. Some examples of visual artists that are self-press social. Frank Frazetta is one that I got into recently.
Talk about skill. He had like incredible skill.
I should have fucking worn the t-shirt that I got with one of his paintings on it. Man, I wasn't thinking. But I bought one of his T-shirts that had this Death Dealer, which is probably his most famous piece of work. He pioneered a very specific style of illustration that really revolutionized comic illustration and movie posters.
He was someone that we sort of studied in art school because I did illustration, and so of course this guy is like the king of what illustration is trying to do in especially like, you know, book illustrations, posters, stuff like that. Like this is the type of style that and composition that you want to look towards when you're sort of considering, especially like fantasy and comics and stuff like that. This was a big one. The lighting is just like incredible.
And he made a lot of money. That's another important thing. He sold a lot of images. Georgia O'Keeffe is another one. Very popular self-pressed social visual artist, painter. She would do a lot of skulls and flowers.
Yeah, self-pressed social, I've just definitely noticed consistently throughout their art is very dedicated towards objects and things. Even people kind of feel like an object or a thing to include. Just like a study. Like self-pressed social is really good at treating, especially visual art, but like it's a study of some kind.
Yeah.
And you can feel that through what they're doing is like they're studying something, they're observing it in a way and trying to like create their impression of that thing.
This is on the anime side, which gets a little bit into the body gore. Junti Ito, we typed this guy, and anyone who's familiar with this kind of work has probably seen stuff like this before. And this is hallmark of self-pressed social visual style, where you get very gory body horror.
A lot of horror will probably be self-pressed social.
Very much so. Shows like The Walking Dead, like
totally.
The zombie genre is such a...
We had like a whole era of zombie stuff that happened for like an entire 2 decades.
It says a lot.
Yeah.
Because self-pressed social is just like everybody's sort of a zombie just trying to survive, and the decay of society, and just self-pressed socials are fixated on it's a pandemic or it's a zombie apocalypse. What are we going to do? Let's try music.
Yes.
Let's try music.
I had Jack White. I like Jack White.
Yeah, Jack White's
He's
good.
really interesting. And Leonard Cohen, beloved. Lou Reed's an interesting example too because he was weird.
Frank Ocean,
he's cool. He's a good example. I think you should.
Yeah,
I like his stuff.
This is the thing that I was going to show you for why, because you were wondering if he was self-pressed. He put out an album of him just building stuff. So he took an interest in carpentry. If somebody does that, they're self-pressed social. Just pack it up. It's over. 45 minutes of him building something. I feel like this is torture. I feel like he wants us to see how long we can, to see if you're a real fan, if you're going to sit here and watch him build wood. That's a 13-minute mark. Let's go to the 22. Slightly more lively woodwork. I think he's just playing the whole album while he builds.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Like if we go to... The audacity to put this out.
Hey, he's having fun.
Is he? I don't know.
That's true.
Okay. I mean, I've always liked Kid Cudi, but that gives away my age, my unk status. That's early 2000s. Nobody cares about Kid Cudi anymore. He just talks about smoking weed and going and doing things.
He does,
and,
yeah.
You know, you look at interviews of these guys and you're looking for more. He's like, yeah, man, I was smoking weed while I was making this song and I was just thinking about my life. And I'm like, okay.
I had a lot of DJs because I'm putting together the DJ through the lens thing. And I kept laughing because I could get a lot of like 2-for-1s because there's so many DJs that collaborate with each other.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a bunch of self-social DJs that, I mean, make your classic, like, I don't know, club music, pop music, huge self-social, anything like, you know, sexy is self-pres social. Like, you're gonna have all of your pop stars, rappers that like make the videos where the girls are dancing and like, you know, money, drugs, whatever. Like, that's very self-pres social, because it's just like, here are the objects I've acquired, including women.
Yeah, very much so. Here's my bling.
Here's my money. Like, this is what my money has given me and bought me in life, and then some of it is women.
So let's see what Kid Cudi has to say about the story behind some of his songs. Let's just see how complex this might be.
Bottle, you could tell he's never cracked open a bottle of champagne. Like, it's not really spraying out, but it's still played.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't sleep those 2 days.
Sleep.
Like, I was super nervous. I was like, holy shit, what have I done? I remember, like, a couple of years later, Kanye, he texted me and he was like, you were right about Makers Say, always follow your heart. And I was like, you son of a bitch.
It always feels like with Self-Pres Social that they have invited you into their home without your permission. Yep. Like, they're going to be talking about their stuff, their family, their feelings. And it's like, dude, I don't fucking care about you like that.
And I think that, I mean, as a social self-pres, like, and again, I'm contra, so what I envy about Synflow is, like, they can just, yeah, like, you're in their home, they just, like, they just ordered pizza, you're invited, crack open a beer, and just, like, talk about stuff, you know? Like, they're just
I had a lot of gas on Tuesday, and it just got me a lot in my feelings, and it's like, dude... Your experiences is what I have to experience now. That's all you want to talk about is what you experienced, what you did.
Yes.
I guess to social types, like, start to understand why it can really feel banal and impersonal, that they aren't really they're not characterizing themselves. They're just talking about their own experiences. Can we feel like we're just rolling around in our own personal mud?
Yeah, and then as a social type, it feels like I am just another object in your experience.
Yes, you are.
So, like, it's just so it's like on one hand, like, that's interesting, but yeah, on the other, it's when it comes to creativity, it is just like, but like, what part of you is like being engaged with and like that makes you alive, like in your personhood, you know, and then. Because that's where I can feel the disconnect in talking with self-pres social types. It's like I'm another object in their environment that they're like listing off the objects that they're doing, and I'm just one of them, you know? And so it's like, I don't know what is really lighting you up or really making you feel engaged in a way that's not just the self-pres tasks and the self-pres generating, like, you know, drugs, food, alcohol, like, these are all things that get you into a self-pres state of being, of experience, and they become objects that get you there. And like, people then sometimes can be objects that get you there.
Right.
But really it is kind of just like a sort of, I don't know, homeostasis of just being in the same level of activation that you sort of become numb to a lot of things.
I was thinking about how, you know, sexual shows up with self-pres social. You know, with social self-pres, we talked about how it shows up with this bile character that's in opposition to the ego character building project of the main protagonist, you could say. And with self-pres social, it becomes like sexual becomes this temptation. It could be a place or a person that represents something. It could be like a drug or some kind of experience, like the sirens in the Odyssey, of like, this is some really alluring temptation that's going to get me off my track. And maybe it becomes a realm that I need to go to experience transformation in order for me to continue on my journey. Like Hades in the Odysseys, like, you have to go down to hell. And change or get something that's going to change you.
Make a sacrifice.
Or you have to go to the shaman. You have to have some kind of experience that's going to give you what you need in order to complete the journey.
Yes, either that or they see sexual through the self-pres lens and it becomes a resource, it becomes an object, it becomes something that kind of just like, yeah, aids the self-pres, what you're already doing, rather than kind of letting it have its own autonomy. It just becomes another self-pres resource.
And the fear, we had done a class when we looked at the different ways sexual shows up with both sexual blind stackings. And the fear with self-pres social is that this thing is literally going to destroy me, like my self-concept in terms of, because there's the fixation on, so much of the fixation is like what I do, how I'm experiencing things. This is altering the way that I experience things. My senses are being destabilized. And so that's that, like, everything's changing. Like, even just the way that self-pres social looks at sexuality, it's like the act itself, these chemicals are now like infected me. I'm seeing and experiencing things differently, and that's scary. Like, you've invaded my world.
My self-pres wall. My walls have been invaded by a Trojan horse.
There's your sexual. So that's, what am I going to let in? Can I integrate this into my world? Do I have to be a different person now? That seems to be, the fears around being destabilized by the sexual instinct.
How are other people going to see me now? Yeah.
TV is pretty much damn near all of TV. Most popular shows: Curb Your Enthusiasm, Seinfeld, The Walking Dead.
The sitcom is self-pres social.
The talk shows are self-pres social.
Talk show, yep. Especially because anything that, like, self-pres social, I've said before in the social episodes, like, self-pres is like the concept of time.
Yeah.
And so self-pres social is like, give me a group of people that I can be familiar with throughout time. That it's like, give me a group of friends, a group of funny people, comedians, or just like a plot that I can stay with for long enough that I can kind of go on the journey. They can be a part of my home.
Yes.
They can be in my home.
Yeah, so many of these shows people use TV shows to regulate themselves, and they're, shows like The Office.
Huge.
That's another one.
Oh, yeah.
Just literal workplace drama. Crime dramas are a huge one. Making a drama out of, I've seen TV shows about, like, working at a post office, like any day-to-day experience, like the workplace drama around it. That's like, we go to the same place and we see the same people. Let's make a show about that. Self-pres social.
Yep.
Breaking Bad, another one.
Yeah, it's like, again, the details that, like, life is on the ground and in the details of your day-to-day. And it's only through a long amount of time that you start running into the social complexities or the sexual disruptions. And I've noticed this the most with, like, stable self-pres. There's tons of not stable self-pres social people that are gonna, like, blow up their lives because of whatever self-pres hole that they're digging themselves into. But for the fairly stable self-pres social types, like, the social and sexual things start to happen slowly as they live with people or date people or spend the time around here, or they're at their job for a long enough amount of time that things start to become chaotic or disruptive, or they start to become more invested in whatever. So it's like, their self-pres world that they're in is kind of just, what they're inhabiting all the time. And so therefore the dramas that they're invested in then become a part of that as well. Like, through TV is just like, oh, what's going to happen now? Let's spend some time. Or even if they're binging it, too, it's just like, they're dedicated. I've known self-pres socials who will watch, like, the same TV show with, like, 6 to 8 seasons, like, 4 times. And how can you do that? I cannot do that.
It seems that TV functions that way for a lot of people, who are self-pres social. It's just a comfort. Why is there 20 plus seasons of The Walking Dead? People just love,
because people are there to watch it.
Yeah, they just keep watching the same kind of stuff. Game of Thrones is extremely popular. Realize that's self-pres social, and sort of the way that giving a rich web of associations with all the different characters. That's how like social middle it is, that you can just create like a lot of different characters without going too deep in them. Like they're just somewhat related to this, and that's enough.
Yeah, because people aren't as complex as like a social type almost gets too complex to the point of obscurity and possibly just like ego shit. Whereas with social, it's not as complex, so it's like people can just kind of be objects and be on the same playing field and related, and even if it's kingdoms and stuff, it's only that way because it's a part of like the time period that they're tackling. It's not necessarily because they're putting anything on like a social hierarchy, you know.
So in film, talking shit about how dull self-pressed social can be, I think Tarkovsky makes some of the prettiest self-pressed social films I've ever seen. So here's a good example. He can make grass look at the earth.
Wow.
And you would think his movies would be boring, but there's a very hypnotic effect to them just because of the craft of his, how he's framing images. Like he's got a real good eye.
It's very dreamlike.
But like, the visually, I forget to mention this, but landscapes is a big self-pressed social thing of just, saturating in a setting and just taking it in.
That's like a good point with, when you're treating people like objects, which sometimes within art like they are, that they're evening out the playing field, that the environment itself and the landscape and the buildings and the structures and the nature of a place is just as important as the people that are in it.
Yep.
It has its own entity, the landscape itself. Like that can be so like beautifully done with self-pressed social because they're actually considering like that. Like I think of Miyazaki and all of his hand painted landscapes, and it's just like he really just gives life to the whole of something rather than just focusing on a character, focusing on an attachment dynamic, or focus on whatever. Like he wants to make things as real as possible. Self-pressed social can do that really well.
And the other thing that's specific to self-pressed social is something like the documentary. And you could say like the ethos of the documentary gets at what self-pressed social is trying to do, to document something as it is, to put you into the experience. And a lot of the creativity of self-pressed social is like, no one has seen this. I'm going to go and capture this experience and show it to people, like a travel documentary like Anthony Bourdain. I'm going to go to these parts of the world and show people these experiences that hasn't been seen before. And so that approach to storytelling can just be like a way of putting people in a setting that is unique, or capturing something in a way that people haven't seen, got you to see it in a different way because of his stylization and the craftsmanship.
I even think of like the whole like wanderlust trend where people are traveling. Like that is self-pressed social. It's just like, what can a place give me? Like what could I like? Wanting experience, romanticizing experience and places, and like your potential home. Your boundaries are like expanded out of your home and include other things. And I think it's very self-pressed social to sort of like imagine, what would I do if I lived here, and like what would I experience, and that kind of being put into art is it can be really creative. It can also be boring and normal, but
I think of what James Cameron has done with the Avatar, where it's a fantasy world that he was able to take people into that just was just incredible. All these filmmakers, they have their tropes in a sense, because if you've seen a James Cameron movie, he's trying to re-experience something that shows up, a certain kind of experience or characterization that shows up over and over again. So just like we talked about how the social self-preses can end up replaying the same themes. You know, like Jordan Peele is always going to do a social horror. Like eventually M. Night Shyamalan is going to do like a fantasy thing with a twist at the end. With, you know, so it becomes like certain themes get repeated. Self-pres social is doing, like, there's a certain world that they want to experience. Like Scorsese does these. He also does guilty men doing crime.
We should do a whole episode on the phenomenon of guilty men.
It's guilty white men specifically. Like PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson does the same thing, but, you know, of like guilty white men, but it's really about the friendships that you make along the way.
Self-pres social.
You know, so it's like different.
You know what could make you feel better? Other people.
It's like I did some bad things, but you know, I don't feel so bad because I found some friends.
I have friends.
It's like, why don't I relate to any of this? I'm not guilty about shit.
I'm not carrying immense guilt.
Writing, I mean, we've mentioned George R.R. Martin.
Pretty much every writer except for
Stephen
social.
King.
Stephen King, yeah. Every writer. I'm like pretty much, because again, the act of writing is self-pres.
Storytelling.
Sure.
You know,
storytelling.
Beginning, it's much more of a self-pres social thing, like the bard of the oral tradition of let's pass down this story. We have a myth that we've been passing along that has a beginning. It's like a journey. The idea of a hero's journey comes from self-pres social.
Oh, huge.
You know, like, so like it's the groundwork of what a story is comes from self-pres social.
Self-pres social writing is like this grand arc. There's a grand arc that, even if it's like, it could be the hero's journey, or it's just like over time and through this particular experience, we are changed in some way. We are transformed, or we learn something, or we've studied something, or whatever. Like, there's, through the passage of time and through this experience, that happens. And some people, I think, have challenged that are self-pres social, that can kind of go into different directions or see the medium as an art form in a different way. A lot of like graphic novelists are probably self-pres social too. That I know even Miyazaki literally wrote and drew his whole graphic novel, that it's like, okay, that's nuts as well. That type of dedication towards a story or plot line and all the elements that go into it. It's a self-preservation act to sort of have boundaries in your own life enough to sit down and write all of these things and actually tell a story that exists on its own.
Self-pres social is very much interested in what the experiential arc of someone is. Like if you're telling the story of someone, it's like, okay, what did you experience at the beginning? What obstacles did you overcome in the middle? And how did you resolve and transform and become something new at the end? And even if, you know, someone like Christopher Nolan, who's playing with time, you're still interested in how a person, the past and the future, and how that is interweaving. There's a director that I'm sure that you know of.
Terrence Malick.
Yeah, like his movies are kind of like, it's like birth, death.
Yeah.
Your childhood.
Oh, and
and there's no plot.
Yeah.
Just but I like the commitment to just giving you a bunch of experiences.
Just the stuff, yeah.
You know, just... I wish there was a version of the backrooms that was just this. I don't need stories.
That's what I mean.
Just give me the backrooms. I don't care about. This is like a collage of shit.
Yeah.
Really appreciate films like this because it's like, it just goes to show you don't need much. Like, you just need image, sound, and expression
and framing and timing and just like environments that are set up that can just showcase something that makes you feel a certain way.
Yeah, and that's enough. that's enough. Like once we finally get to self-pressed sexual, it's doing that to a much more extreme degree, in a way that can, perhaps be inaccessible, but it's like...
Yeah, because I think I remember you had said once, too, with self-pressed social and, like, sin flow, it's kind of that life, death,
yes,
narrative, cycle. Yeah, and cycle, that I think that's, again, why so many self-pressed socials really like the survival or romance or something. Like, there's just this natural... life movement that we're going in, that is why sin flow is so aptly named for that stacking progression, because it's like there's something about that life giving, life receiving, like what we're experiencing here on Earth, like groundedness that we actually do, like all of us need, regardless of our stacking, like have to have that kind of rooted, grounded connection with the planet and Earth and nature, because that is where we are. And I think self-pressed social can set up a frame or a story that is like reminding you internally on like a soul level, like that's what you're connected to, and that's what is being evoked in you in all of your experiences of life. I think like this movie especially does that, like literally.
And that's what's so incredible about it. It's like we don't need characters, we don't need story, like we can just put you in a place, and that can evoke so many memories and feelings that we've all had, and you can do that without words. It's or even if they're words, it's like I'm not trying to tell you a story, I'm just trying to put you into an experience that you remember. And so like your hometown and certain places that you've experienced some formative things, those have narrative power on their own.
Yeah. Guillermo del Toro is probably self-pressed social. I've watched interviews with him and I'm like, okay, he's not really saying anything. I think this is self-pressed social. But his like images as well for things can be really provoking of magic and life and death. Like he dips into horror, he dips into fantasy. It's just like, oh my God, The Shape of Water. That's such a good film. His style's cool.
I gotta check out some of his films.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he did the Odyssey? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's what self-pressed social artists can do. It's just like, wow, like I don't know how you pulled that off, but I'm in this world. I'm
in it.
I believe it.
Because they're in it. That's the thing. Like, because they put themselves in it. Like self-pres, when you have enough boundaries from this external world, like you can just funnel your energy into an inner world, and it's just like that's such a magic that I think when you can tell when it's super authentic and the person's enjoying living in that place and giving it life, that it's like it comes out like so well. Whereas you can tell, just like with social self-pres that we went over, like you can tell when it's not really coming from a place that, I don't know, is more soulful or something.
That's how I feel about the Odyssey. I don't think that was not a soulful movie. I felt like this was soulless, and I was like, I don't know if you even like this story. Like, there's a story you want to tell, but I don't think you love the Odyssey. A person who absolutely loved the Odyssey would have made something way more incredible.
It didn't feel like an ode to the Odyssey. It felt like an ode to the guilt man that he's obsessed with. Matt Damon guilt man.
You're trying to like check all the boxes, and in doing so, and it did the thing. It got all the money, and
I think self-pres social can do that as well. Like they can take a creative project and check it off the list. Like I think of all of the musicians and even directors and artists that self-pres social made this their career, and like will just use art as like a cash cow and just milk it and milk it and milk it, and their music sucks. They're like 50 years old, nobody gives a shit about your music anymore, and it sucks because it's like you're just doing this as a job. Like this is your job now. You can't give up and do something else. This isn't transforming you in any, you know, profound way anymore. Like this is something that you have to do for money, and like that really sucks. That's heartbreaking to know that artists are in that position, but like that is what like a lot of self-pressed social artists will tend to do if they make it their thing.
It's like once you become successful or something like a studio is like they're counting on the revenue of a Christopher Nolan movie. So it's like he's doing a movie every 3 years, you know, just like you're on that schedule of conveyor belt art. That's what I mean. Like musicians who sign contracts for a certain amount of albums they have to release, and then it's just like they're gonna do it because it's not like they're gonna give up and get like a normal quote unquote job. It's not like they can make money any other way, so they put out albums and it just sucks. Like it's just like, I can feel that you had to do this. Not that you wanted to, other than to keep doing what you're doing. Not that like it inspired you, not that your heart's or soul is in it. It's like, this is your job. You know, like, that sucks. That really does suck. And that's the thing with sexual of like, you need to go away and getting your cocoon and see how these things are going to transform you and what new thing you want to say. And that's a problem with, you know, someone like Christopher Nolan, is that you need to stop making movies for a little bit so that you can find something else within yourself, because you're telling the same story with different skin suits. Like you're just using the Odyssey to tell the same story, using Oppenheimer to tell the same story, Batman, same story. But it's like, if he went away, he could, you know, find something else that's charging him up and tell a different story.
And I think that's where, like, you know, coming from a social lens, like our environment just doesn't support the sexual instinct or even the social instinct. Like our environment, we hope it to, for some people it can, but like as a whole, collectively, like our environments in society just don't support that ability to like go away and do whatever, and like or to have an experience where you just completely are stripped of your personhood and being able to sort of reinvent yourself or your connection to life in general and what you want out of it.
Because what you're saying, like with the social types, you need some time to look at what's going on in the social field to even notice that you want to say something differently. Like that's the problem with self-pressed social, that you can get so stuck in the rut of I need to keep producing that you don't have time to look around and to find new references or context
and connect. Like social is that connect to some kind of meaning of some kind of other narrative, mythological narrative. Like what, you know, the Odyssey just didn't even feel like a mythological story. Like it had mythological elements, but like I didn't feel the mythology alive in every part to it because of Matt Damon. Like I was just, okay, this is Matt Damon's story.
That's to your point when you're saying that, you know, just the completely star-studded cast, that can't possibly say that I'm trying to make something faithful to the Odyssey if I'm just going to put the same people we see in every fucking movie that's out right now. And then you put someone who has zero charisma like Matt Damon to star. I really don't like it.
This episode should be titled Shit on
The
Matt
Odyssey
Damon.
Sucks.
Matt Damon sucks. Speaking of summer blockbusters, Disclosure Day from who is that guy? Steven Spielberg.
Sucked.
Big self-pressed social.
I
wanted
heard that
to
sucked.
It did suck, but I wanted to see it only because it's like, okay, the preview looked okay, and also Aliens. Like, of course, I want to go see this, right? And
he's always making the same fucking movies, like the Alien.
He's been thinking. I was gonna say though, but so he's been like, you know, he's the adventure guy, and he has like the same theme. Like, so there's the conflict, the resolution, whatever. Speaking of like not even accessing social, I listened to an interview with him talking about Disclosure Day and like where the idea came from, because I was like, we're in 2026 now.
Are you still making this movie?
This guy is making a film about what if the whole world knew about aliens at the same time, right? And it's just like, Okay, first off, that was a thought I had when I was like 12 years old. And then like all these other like alien movies have come out that are just so fantastic and weird and different. And it's 2026 and you put this movie out thinking this is the one, you know? Like, this is gonna
They should
it.
be
Like,
a fucking cutoff for how young you have to be to make movies. Like after a certain point, Steven Spielberg, stop making fucking movies. No, like your geriatric ass doesn't know what people want to see anymore.
and that's what I'm just like, I'm like, wait a minute. Like my bad for going and seeing that.
Why did you want to go see that? Like, what was your thinking?
It was partially a joke because I just kept talking about it, and I'm like, oh my god, the hit summer blockbuster film Steven Spielberg Disclosure Day 2026. I gotta go see
that. Looked like a disaster. I was like, I'm not watching any movie unless maybe David Lynch, because he was like still got it. But like old directors make garbage. They don't make anything that's watchable. You wouldn't sit there and listen to some 70-year-old tell you a story. Why would you?
I know.
You would be like, okay, somebody take him back to their room.
And that's why I'm just like, are you that kind of old person that like doesn't look at the internet
Absolutely.
or like listen to literally anyone younger?
He doesn't have a
you?
smartphone. I guarantee you, he doesn't have a smartphone.
Because I was just, this is the weakest plot ever. I guess, yeah, action, adventure, that's really big. Self-prosocial. It's like, oh, look at me do this skill with my gun.
Yeah, I mean,
break into the guy's house.
Yeah, self-prosocial can be fun because sometimes I'll watch, action movies where it's a heist. And
yeah, it's just
like,
pure action. It's just stuff happening.
So it's competency porn of like we put this plan together and we planned for this. And so like one of my favorite movies was Heat. I think it was from the 90s. There's so many crime TV movies, but I think Michael Mann had a really aesthetic sense of just making what could just be a dull action movie. Like he had good stories, good characters, but just like a real artistic noir sense to it. That Christopher Nolan's really impressed by him. He based The Dark Knight on Heat. Like there are a lot of sequences.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can tell.
That are basically a copy. And he essentially made his whole production team watch Heat in preparation for it.
Christopher Nolan himself has stated that he always felt that Heat was a remarkable demonstration of how you can create a vast universe within one city and balance a very large number of characters and their emotional journeys in an effective manner.
Right, everything they just said was self-prosocial.
Yeah, right.
Seen The Dark Knight's bank heist? Guess what? It's not original. It's Heat reimagined. In Heat, the tension starts with silence. The crew suits up, masks on. The music is subtle and just enough to tell you something big is coming. Knight mirrors it. Joker holds his clown mask. No words yet. Just the hum of a getaway bus and a creeping score. The calm before chaos.
So, yeah, like one thing I see that a lot of self-prosocial artists will do, especially film directors, that they're really inspired by the technical feats that they pulled off.
Yes.
And so Denis Villeneuve he's really inspired by Christopher Nolan because he does a lot of like incredible things technically that a lot of these guys that are trying to make big movies are looking at and like, all right, how did you pull that off?
I think that's what's interesting about like self-prosocial artists, but just like kind of art in general, where people get really inspired off of someone else. Mm-hmm. And so they attempt their techniques, the self-pres details and techniques, but with a new vision and a new narrative to go along with it or whatever, and it turns out to just like pull something completely different off, and yet it's like just as good. I wouldn't have known this if you hadn't shown me that, because it's just like, it's not necessarily stealing, but it's just being inspired and like attempting to pull it off in a different way.
Same thing happens in music. People will steal riffs and production techniques because unless you are someone who's really steeped in those techniques, how the fuck would you know? And you can use technique. Just take it and put it in a different film, match it in a different way, and you have something that's completely new. Like Obsession, from what I've seen, took a lot from a lot of horror classics, you know, just different elements. But it's like, unless you're a horror nerd, like how the fuck would you know? And it's just being used in a completely different context. So that's what Self-Press Social is good at, just being able to look at the craft and take other techniques, other artists, and repurpose them